All right, hello and welcome. Look, if you're a pricing category or marketing manager, you already know you're on the front lines of a battle that just never stops. Today, we're going to open up the playbook on dynamic pricing. We're talking about turning all that market chaos into your biggest competitive advantage. And to do that, we're leaning on the expertise of our friends at Omnia Retail, a true leader in both price scraping and dynamic pricing. So let's just dive right in. So let's start with the big question, the one that probably keeps you up at night. In this 24/7 e-commerce world where prices change by the minute, are you really keeping up? Or, and be honest with yourself, are you falling behind without even knowing it? Okay, here's our game plan for today. We'll kick things off with the big problem in e-commerce pricing. Then we'll introduce dynamic pricing, talk about the strategic advantages, lay out a 5-step plan to get you there, and finally, look at what's next. It's a lot to cover, so let's get started. First up, let's really set the stage. We're talking about the e-commerce pricing problem. You can think of it as navigating a perfect storm because it puts just a ton of pressure on all those old school strategies we used to count on. And this right here really shows the massive power shift. I mean, think about it. The old world, that was supplier-led. They set the price and everyone pretty much fell in line. It was static, slow, predictable. But that world is gone. Today, you're in the driver's seat, which is great. But it also means you're dealing with a reality that's dynamic, it's 24/7, and it is in constant change. Now, what's driving all this change? Well, it's really two unstoppable forces. First, you've got radical price transparency. Every single one of your customers has a price comparison engine right in their pocket. A 5% price difference isn't just a small thing anymore, it's a total deal breaker. And second, the market speed is just explosive. Prices change faster than ever. This is exactly why getting fresh, accurate pricing data whenever you wish isn't a nice-to-have anymore. It's an absolute necessity to compete. So, okay, the old static model is clearly broken. What's the answer? Well, that brings us right to the heart of the solution, the core strategy for really gaining that competitive edge, dynamic pricing. And at its core, the idea is actually pretty simple. Dynamic pricing is all about making your prices just as flexible and smart as the market is. So instead of just setting a price and, crossing your fingers, you're constantly adjusting based on real-time data. The goal? To find that perfect balance between your margins and your sales velocity. Okay, let's get something really important straight right now. Dynamic pricing is not the same as personalized pricing. It's not about charging one person a different price than another based on their data. That stuff can feel, kind of creepy. And it totally wrecks customer trust. Dynamic pricing is fair. It uses market data, which means every shopper sees the same price at the exact same time. And this is why using a transparent, data-driven tool is so crucial. It builds confidence. And honestly, this principle of fairness is baked into the DNA of platforms like Omnia Retail. All right, so we've covered the what, but let's be real, the why is where this gets exciting. Let's talk about the strategic advantages, how you can turn all this data into a genuine profit-driving machine. Just think about the old ways of doing things for a second. Every single one has a huge blind spot. Cost-plus pricing, it completely ignores what the market is doing. Competitor-based? You're basically just hoping your competitors know what they're doing. And value-based pricing? It's a great idea in theory, but it's nearly impossible to pull off manually at scale. But this is where a dynamic strategy just changes the whole game. You can maximize revenue on your hot items. You can react instantly when a competitor makes a move. You can clear out that slow-moving stock way more effectively. And the best part, your entire strategy is based on data, not just guesswork. Now, of course, to get that kind of speed and agility, you absolutely need a flexible and powerful software platform to automate your price updates. And that's exactly where a tool like Omnia Retail shines. And hey, this isn't just theory. Check out this number, 75%. That's the reduction in price-related complaints Philips saw after they brought in dynamic pricing with their retail partners. That's not just a small win, that is hard proof that a smart, data-driven approach builds a way more stable and trusted position in the market. That's what Omnia Retail can help you achieve. So the question is, how do you actually do this? How do you execute it effectively? Well, you need the right tool for the job. And if you look at what actual users are saying on G2, the #1 best-rated pricing software out there is Omnia Retail. It's trusted by huge enterprise organizations to deliver these exact kinds of results day in and day out. But here's a really crucial point. Your automated pricing should never, ever be a black box. Automation is essential, for sure,
But you absolutely cannot afford to just trust a system that doesn't tell you why it's making a certain decision. You need to understand every single price calculation. This idea, this principle of transparency, is right at the core of the Omnia Retail platform. It's designed to make sure you are always 100% in control of your strategy.
Okay, I get it. This all sounds really powerful, but maybe also a little overwhelming to implement? Don't worry, we can break this down into a clear 5-step plan. It's a blueprint that makes this whole thing feel totally achievable, especially when you have a partner like Omnia Retail to simplify the process.
So here it is, your 5-step plan. Step 1, define your goals. What are you actually trying to achieve? Step 2, build your strategy around those goals. Step 3 is where you pick your methods. Then step 4 is automating all those rules in your software. And finally, step 5, and this one never stops, is to constantly monitor, test, and optimize everything you're doing. But let's really zoom in on step 4, because that's the magic step. That's where your strategy turns into automated action. And for that to work, having a flexible and intuitive tool isn't just nice, it's essential. This is where a platform like Omnia Retail really changes everything. With its intuitive pricing strategy tree, you can build, refine, or completely change any pricing strategy you need, literally in seconds. Okay, let's start to wrap this up by looking to the future. What does all of this mean for securing your competitive edge? Not just for this quarter, but for the long haul. See, a modern pricing strategy isn't about picking just one method. It's about blending a whole mix of data points. Just look at this chart. You're balancing competitive insights, your own margin goals, your current stock levels, and real-time market demand. A powerful tool like Omnia Retail is what allows you to weigh all of these factors at once to make a truly intelligent pricing decision, every single time.
So if there's one thing, just one thing you take away from all this, let it be this. In today's market, standing still is the same as moving backward. The game has totally changed. What used to be a cutting-edge strategy is now just the cost of entry. Sticking with static pricing means you are actively falling behind. So adopting dynamic pricing and powering it with tools like Omnia Retail isn't just an option anymore. It's absolutely essential for survival and growth.
Look, this isn't about some massive, risky overhaul that's going to disrupt your whole business. It's about taking smart, strategic steps forward. So the final question I want to leave you with isn't if you should change. It's how are you going to make your pricing smarter, starting today? Because a partner like Omnia Retail is ready to help you take that very first step. Because in this crazy, fast-paced world of e-commerce, just having software isn't enough. You need a real partner. With over 13 years of in-house expertise, Omnia Retail is that trusted pricing partner. They bring both the best-in-class price scraping and the world-class dynamic pricing tools you need to not just compete, but to truly thrive. Thanks so much for joining me.